All right, folks, we are live, and it is 1:02 p.m. East Coast time on March 25th, 2023. And McLeod just started up his camera, so I'm going to feed him in here real quick.
Yay!
Yeah, we're running a little bit late today. We're having lots of fun, doing lots of things. So everybody's busy. So, yeah, let's see. Let's get here. Right top cam.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Hopefully
he should be here momentarily.
Hopefully I'm coming through pretty well.
You know, everybody sounds a little loud to me today. How's the audience here and everything out there?
I can drop a little bit.
No, I mean, I can control you.
Oh, okay. That's fair enough.
You know, it's really time for our ping mama to stop traveling on the weekend so she can ping us out to goons.
I know, right?
Yeah, she's always.
Well, Dawn is here, sort of somewhat. If yeah, that word.
Yeah, she's in the car traveling to her cousin. So
she's here, but not here. Yeah.
So yeah, we're having a blast.
How's your week? How's your week been, Eric?
Oh man, super busy week. All right, got I got multiple things to do. Got to finish them up today, hopefully, because I got to travel on Monday. But super busy, and all morning I was building unique and interesting VMs, both on my PC and in the cloud. So it's been super fun. So.
Very nice.
Just creating a little hybrid network here, seeing how things are rolling, having a blast, get a little rolling up the sleeves. Don't usually do that.
I've been making a few sort of like Ethernet cables up and some punching into some keystones and stuff like that for Ethernet.
Nice.
For Ethernet sort of sockets and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, we were doing that last weekend. Doing some
cable. Yeah, you said that you were teaching your kids how to do punch downs and stuff, right?
It's weird how years ago I could just like clip, snip, whatever, boom. I've created an end on an Ethernet cable, right? And then you do it like 10 years later and you haven't done it, right? I'm like, man, this is freaking hard. And then you do it like twice and you're like, bam. Super easy.
You kind of get into the swing of things, but like, these days with the cabling and with the shielding and that kind of stuff is like, especially like the some of the keystones, like the square keystones, like they could be a little bit awkward depending on which tool you use. I've got a tool that basically like tries to sort of, punch down both, like, kind of hold and punch down both sides. And in those square keystones that have like the things on either side, like it's actually really awkward. It can be really awkward, like maneuvering the sort of like cabling and stuff like that, because you're never entirely sure when you're punching down. It kind of feels like you're squashing half of the fucking half of the things, and you're like they're going. Surely, if I punch down this like as hard as I need to do it, it's gonna scrape and potentially cut one of the other cablings, but it somehow didn't. I'm confused by that.
I couldn't find my old crimper, so I bought another one, and I noticed that apparently there are ends where you feed the wires all the way out and it cuts them off too.
No, I do have that. That's for the actual,
I don't have those. I don't have the ones. I don't have ones that you feed out. Mine just go into the end and bam.
And then, oh, okay.
Yeah. Nothing's faster than a hardwire, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so I've been having issues with some degree of streaming and stream quality and connection kind of thing. So it was a case of like, you know what? So basically I have hardline kit. I have it's not hardline, a power line kit kind of going around the house with mesh Wi-Fi as well. And the idea with that is because of the construction of my house, you don't really get a good like mobile internet connection or a mobile connection like just to networks inside the house. So the idea is that like we were going to use the hardline connection with the mesh Wi-Fi so you can use Wi-Fi calling, and then you'll be able to take calls inside the house, without issue. And then the actual connections to like computers and stuff will go through the sort of hardline Ethernet connection, right?
Yeah,
I'd been dragging my heels.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been dragging my heels using the sort of like the Ethernet connections on the Powerline kits, up until the point where it started kind of, not really being that good for streaming. Like, really didn't.
Okay.
It was there was a myriad of issues. Let's put it that way. So we had to eventually and finally go and break it out and actually, put the connectors down and all that kind of stuff. So, we've got a full, full thing down by the actual modem to plug to everything. And yeah, I've done the one in this room. Even though my computer's the other side of the room where the actual, where the actual socket is. I've got enough room. I've got enough of a long enough lead to actually be able to go from it.
Yeah. By the way, there's a wild Caleb in the channel.
Hey, Caleb.
To lurk just to listen to this because this is gonna be fun.
Oh God.
It would be a lot more fun if everybody was here, but those people have to go do that Champions tournament crap.
Yeah, they went to that Champions thing.
Mac, are you really fast? Can you make a put Hilma in jail meme for us?
I'm thinking the whole let me in meme, right? but like reversed someone in some particular way.
I'm just sitting here going, for crying out loud.
This is gonna be fun. But, I need fresh coffee.
Yeah, so there are topics that we could talk about today, and there's definitely one topic that I've tried to make sure that I am well versed in as much as I can.
By the way, McLeod was late, but it wasn't because he's slacking. He was doing research. All right.
Yeah, and I was still a little bit fuzzy on certain areas. But as is always the case when you're talking about like crazy, convoluted, obfuscated shit that is made to be obfuscated for a fucking reason, right?
Just a little.
But yeah, that's CCP related, Eve related news, and Dawn's here and it's only 10 past, so we can't talk about that.
Soth can go and chat and chit chat, but it can't be on the fucking show.
He has to be around at a different thing to talk to people. But I get that he can.
He's multitasking, folks. I know what he's doing. Busy guy. I'm doing shit with Jatan, all right?
He's trying to be very German and extremely efficient with his time right now.
If you're not wearing a shiny gold jacket, Soth, you're not doing shit with Jatan, okay? Just saying. When that just reminds me.
I do hope that Jintan is actually providing a significant amount of bling.
Bling. It's all about the bling, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
man. So.
Okay, I'm sorry, Cast. I've been up since very early this morning. I could not.
Oh, that was the thing. Yeah. I was there thinking to myself, like, oh, what non-Eve related things can we talk about, kind of thing. And then I was like, I know I had a topic sort of for that, but like my head was in like crypto mode for the past like fucking 4 hours so far. That I was like, oh, what the fuck was it? It just went out of my mind for a while. Erik.
Yeah.
Are you a follower? Do you know who Linus Tech, or do you know what Linus Tech Tips is?
No. I mean,
you don't.
Mean maybe
the organization, the YouTube channel, that kind of thing.
No, I don't watch it.
Okay, so it is basically probably one of the largest, tech YouTube channels out there.
Okay.
And I think, anybody who is in the chat who, is any understands or watches YouTube in some way, shape, or form, and is interested in tech in some way, shape, or form, probably knows.
He has 6 YouTube channels. Holy shit.
Yeah, they have 6 YouTube. They have six sort of like they have 6 different YouTube channels. They started off with one, which is just Linus Tech Tips.
He's
Carlisle Carlisle Gaming and channel, like that's a good example as to how big they are. Like they have 16 million followers on like I think on Linus Tech Tips channel themselves. Like
Eric's not one of them. Nope.
They got hacked.
Did they?
They got hacked. Their channel was turned into a crypto scam kind of channel, with live streams, with like the most classic of double your crypto. So basically, like like the WS scam, like of in Eve, it was send us 1 Bitcoin, we'll send you 2. Send us 1 Ether, we'll send you 2. That kind of thing, that sort of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And it was, they literally changed the logo, they changed the name, they like literally changed all the descriptions, they published a whole bunch of unpublished videos that were, basically bad or poorly edited or all that kind of thing, right? And the nice thing is that Linus and his team were able to kind of wrestle back control over it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I mean, if it can happen to the biggest, it happened. I mean, and it was happening. Yeah. The thing is, it's happening to everybody, but you kind of think that, like, because they're the largest, that it wouldn't happen to them, and because they're a tech channel, like, they would know how to not fall for that kind of stuff. But, like, still, it's just, it's literally a click away. Like, it is literally 1 click away from, having your channel basically completely hijacked and upended and deleted potentially. It's mental.
So I got 2 texts this morning, and they weren't from a number. They were from an email address, right? Because you know how they can do things, right?
Yeah.
So one is my UPS package is on hold, so I should click and complete the document at this not a UPS address. And to get it taken off hold. So that's one that's just this morning, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now there was another one this morning.
Right.
Hold on, I gotta respond. I got another one from a rather large bank that I may or may not have been affiliated with at one given time, right? I have a pending transaction of $85.80 at said institution. Please reach out to this at this number to approve or decline the transaction. I'm sitting there going, okay, number one, I don't have a bank account at this location. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like the phone call telling me that they're going to shut off my electricity. Okay. If I don't call them back quickly, right? So
nobody would do that. Nobody would do that. It's
call us back in the next several minutes to stop us from turning off your electricity, right? I've got that. Well, I got that a couple times. Then I kind of went, I started calling them back, right? Said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh my God," asking like real scared.
I would just be like,
and
do it, motherfucker.
Hello, can I speak to the Prince of Ghana?
Yeah, no. Then I go. Oh yeah, I can't remember which electric company I'm with, and they tell me electric company in the area, not mine, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, oh, I didn't know that they had bought my electric company. Oh, you know what? Do you have my account number handy? Click, right? And then I would try I just keep them on the line for as long as I could, right? And you eventually get to some question. Click, right? And
try and act the dumbass without actually like giving away anything whatsoever, right?
Yeah, and it's always the other electric company that I don't have, right? That they're calling about that, right? And they're gonna like turn off now to cue people. I don't pay any utility bills. Okay, they're all auto pay, so I can never be late.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So I'm sitting there going, I always love these calls. I'm like, I'm a little concerned.
Dear sir, when you're trying to run scams like this, could you maybe consider actually reading up on how banks actually work today?
Oh my god.
Or just utilities work, like, they're not going to randomly, like, without sending you any kind of correspondence whatsoever, just phone you up and be like, yeah, we're going to turn off your electricity in like 5 minutes. Like, no, you're not. Fuck off.
I mean, they can kind of do that now because they can kind of do it remotely. But yeah,
I know that they can do that, but they're not going to do it completely out of the blue.
Well, Mac, you're safe, right? Because you can basically tell someone like that, I'm British. Our electric is a coin slot.
I used to be in a flat that had that kind of thing, and thankfully, I've sorted that stuff out now. But like, you used to be able to literally put like a coin in, and then just like, because it obviously there was a holder for all the coins that you put in, but it was secured with a very unsecure kind of lock, and you could literally just take it back out.
It would just be hilarious to tell someone like that, well, my fucking power bills are paid with coins on the wall. Fuck off.
Yeah. That's also true as well. Yeah.
So to answer MEPA, it's a different servicing electric company. I mean, you can I'm on a particular network with a particular company, and I can buy electric from other companies, right? I don't have to buy from that company if I don't want to, but this is a servicer like a town over that I would never buy electric from. So it's like a fundamental, it's like a different company name. I mean, they don't use the same transport, right? So totally different.
Yeah.
It's just so well. But I really don't I don't buy much electricity anymore.
It's strange that, isn't it? It's interesting. It's interesting being able to sort of like generate the most of the energy and electricity that you use yourself.
I know it's kind of freaky nice. Now. I think I paid for 100 kilowatts last month.
And I always thought it was funny when people were saying sort of like, oh yeah, you shouldn't invest in like in solar or whatever, right? Because it's like the amount of time that it takes for you to sort of make that money back. Well, I mean, when the price of energy goes through the fucking roof, then strangely enough, those become a much more viable option. Right?
Oh yeah, and the days get longer in the summer and all that crazy shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tech gets better, so it becomes more efficient and less expensive to be able to make that energy, right? All these various different things is culminated in actual fact. The old adage of like why you shouldn't invest in certain renewables is actually now just completely moot. It's completely bullshit now.
I did see, because I get ads from Hilton Head, South Carolina. There's an oceanfront house that put that Hilton Head Solar put the Tesla solar shingles on.
Well, you should watch out because they're probably trying to scam you for crypto.
Yeah, probably. I will tell you, this really looked cool. The roof looked cool. Okay.
Yeah.
It was.
Okay.
It's
the actual sort of solar like roof tiles, right?
Yeah. I mean, they were really the shingles, and they're black, and they really looked good with the house. I don't know what their yield is. I'm sure they're I think they're more expensive than what I've got out there, right?
They likely will be, and they're probably a little bit less efficient because they're not like a full encased and well.
Have no idea, right? I mean,
yeah, but you're paying a bit of a premium for the look, right? That's
yeah, well, the look was good. I'm just telling you, the look was good.
It's a case of like you wouldn't even know, right? You wouldn't
If
even know
you
that they're
didn't
actually-
know, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know.
And that's kind of one of the reasons why that product exists, right? Is to basically get rid of the sort of like the stigma of people kind of saying, oh, solar like panels on roofs and stuff are an eyesore. It's like, well, it's not an eyesore because you can't even tell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can definitely tell there's. But mine are on the back of the house, right? So the guys across the street, they'd have to put them on the front of their house.
Yeah.
And you even have some home associations in the U.S. saying, can't put solar cells up. It doesn't look good. Lower everybody's property value. I'm sitting around, it's going to raise everybody's property value. Shut up. But
I'm concerned. It's already 3 minutes past the hour, and Dawn hasn't said a thing about us, like not talking about it.
Yeah, I know. She's
weird. Oh, she's still driving around. That's why. Yeah, we literally can't hear what the fuck you're saying.
Eric, you need one of those. You need one of those new wind turbines, the vertical ones.
Why would I want a wind turbine?
Oh,
so you can get the last kilowatt hours for free.
Yeah, when it's not sunny and it's overcast, it's probably likely sort of more windy than sunny. So,
and they work at night.
They make noise.
That's true. That is true.
They make noise.
That's a very good point there. Solar cells definitely don't work as well in the night.
No.
Yeah.
So the new infrared ones can actually produce a little bit, as far as I'm told.
Doesn't really matter. I make so much. However, I don't think I'm going to. I exceeded my estimated yield last month. That was the first full month we had. This month, though, it looks like we're going to come up a little short.
MEPA's kind of like hinting at something, but the US now does small modular nuclear power plants, right?
Don't give him any ideas, please, Mac. For God's sake.
Hey, in the U.S., we have pocket nuclear power plants. We just bring them around with us, plug in. We're good.
Like this hand warmer, yeah. Well, it's a small
my favorite
power plant. That's why.
My favorite are the tow companies. They all now have, diesel generators on a trailer so that they can go and charge all the electric cars that run out of power.
Eve Tower, it's fission, not fusion, with nuclear power plants. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I really want the Back to the Future car where we can put a can of beer out of the trash can, whatever's left. Who puts a can of beer in their trash? Hold on, I didn't get that far yet, right? Like, he goes to the garbage and gets like a crunched up can of beer that has some beer in it. Number one, who does that? Right? Anybody in the audience actually throw out a can of beer with some beer in it, or so that it can be drippy everywhere and drip out your everywhere, right? No, you freaking empty it in the seat, or you drink it all. Sink, sorry, not seat.
Well,
or you drink it all. Drink all the freaking beer. No soldier left behind. Okay.
No. I think in Europe we call the last few centimeters the drag.
The dregs, yes.
And we don't actually drink that.
Do you put it in your?
See that,
do you crunch up your can and put it in the trash can bag, still with the beer in it?
No. When there's like, I think in a can it's like a centimeter left. You just toss it, and if it's a glass,
you throw it
bottle,
in the garbage.
You empty it. You basically throw it out, and then you throw the glass bottle out.
What about a can?
It's very normal. You will see that.
Leave it in the can, or you pour it out from the can?
In the can, you leave it in. You just throw it in the trash, in the bin. But if it's a bottle, you usually politely empty it on the ground and then throw it in the bin.
On the ground? What happens if you're at your kitchen table?
Well, then you do it in the sink. Or you just leave it with the dregs in it on the table. Which is why a binge drinking thing at home in the early 20s stage just stinks like a fucking brewery in the next morning.
You come down and you're like, oh god, I'm even more hungover now.
But the hair of the dog, you can basically just go around and empty all those things if you're hungover enough to not give a shit.
Oh my god, no warm beer that's set
You gotta be
overnight
really
open.
hungover.
Oh my god.
You gotta be really desperate to do that.
You pop open
Good
a can
God.
of Coke, man. You just put a little rum in it, you're good to go next day. Okay, you want the perfect
there was
hangover cure? Take 2 aspirin, can of Coke, glass of water, and a plate of bacon. All right, all will be good. All right.
My ex swore that San Pellegrino was actually really, really good, like hangover cure.
You know, I prefer. Let's talk about carbonated mineral waters. Okay, you have 2 camps.
I fucking hate them.
Okay,
I hate them.
You have 2 camps. You have the Perrier people who like the big fucking bubbles. All right, and then you have the San Pellegrino people who like the classy little itty bitty bubbles. I'm in the San Pellegrino crowd. You are in the Flatwater crowd, right?
I prefer it, but like, you know, I don't mind carbonated stuff of some form, just not just straight carbonated water though. Like no.
It's bad for your teeth.
Okay, I can't drink carbonated water because my brain goes to the painkiller shit immediately. Like this is the painkiller shit. This is what I drink when I have a huge fucking hangover. So no, I would never drink carbonated water. It's always fresh water. Otherwise, you have to put some sort of taste in it.
Taste in it. I have things to put taste in the water.
I don't care what you put in the carbonated water. Any juices, any fruit things, even any alcohol thing would be fine. Put some whiskey in it, and it's just a very watery whiskey. But anything in there, it can't be flat water with carbonation. It's just not. No, my brain will say this
flat
is not
water
a
with
drink.
Carbonation.
This is medicine.
That's 2 different things. It's either flat or it's carbonated. It's not flat water with carbonation.
Well, he's just saying straight water.
That's literally how you make it, right? You get that.
Just carbonated straight water.
Natural. It's naturally carbonated in the spring. I don't believe.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
No, it's not. Yes, they do. It's basically what you get with the cartridge thing in the bottle thing. That's how you make the carbonated water.
What is that cartridge thing called? SodaStream. SodaStream.
Yeah, like a soda stream.
Yeah, we have a soda stream.
But the handheld ones that they have in bars.
Oh, right, yeah.
They still have a carbon injection thing.
Yeah, you put a cartridge of carbon dioxide, and you basically just carbonate it when you press the thing.
Because like
who does that?
It carbonates the water and then it like combines it with the syrup, right? Like
it's a handheld soda stream. That's what it is.
Yeah, basically.
And usually you can't get as much carbonation into it as you get from a soda stream because the soda stream is a little bit bigger and you push it down a little bit longer. Right?
Just buy a bottle of soda water or a little club soda, a little tonic water. Tonic water's some good stuff. Hey, that's
tonic
in there, right?
See, tonic water has a little bit other things.
Quinine, that keeps the malaria away.
It does keep the
malaria away.
It keeps some stuff away. Yeah, malaria. But like not coronavirus.
It does.
That would be a great thing.
It does. I'm telling you.
It doesn't.
That would be better than that horse dewormer to sell that.
Jesus Christ.
Tonic water cures COVID. That'd be glorious. The best
by the way,
meme ever.
You heard it here first. I mean, we're down to earth homeopathic show. Okay.
Yeah, like you're 98% water anyway, so just replace the water with other water, and you should be fine. Like that'll heal you entirely.
Yeah, it just flushes it out.
Schweppes tonic heals you from any side effects and issues with COVID.
The funny thing that I think that I always love about people who talk up homeopathy and talk down medicine is a case of all medicine started off as homeopathy. It's just we kind of used the scientific method, which is basically try and reduce the amount of like variables.
I'm gonna stop you.
Figure out which what's actually working, what's not actually working.
You have to stop yourself, because homeopathy is not natural medicines. It's literally a dilution scam. There is nothing in homeopathic medicine.
Kind of like, but like the sort of like the premise a little bit to homeopathy was kind of like natural stuff, right?
Sure, but the point is that when you're doing
medicine was finding what natural things worked and what natural things didn't, and then finding out why those natural things worked, and then taking
when I chew on this
developing
bark, my
things more powerful
away.
with that. Like that.
But you're mixing terms. You're mixing natural health stuff with homeopathy. Homeopathy is that water has memory. You're supposed to dilute that stuff 1,000 times, so there's not a single mole of active ingredient left when you've done that.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take that.
But what you do is, let me explain this to you. You take a small part of something that's supposed to have an effect, right? Then you dilute it 1 to 10. Then you take 1 unit from that into another one and dilute that 1 to 10. And you do this several times, up to 5 or 7 times, which means that theoretically you have no active ingredient left. And then the argument from homeopathy is that water has memory. So the effect is still there, even though you have diluted it 1 to the power of 9. That's literally the theory of homeopathy.
Okay, I had a much more like casual understanding of what homeopathy was, which is just basically like natural kind of substances, and water is the great healer kind of thing. Like, but yeah, if that's what like homeopathy really kind of like
it is.
Like
I have a friend that is a actual certified homeopathy.
I feel
or whatever.
I feel sorry for you already.
It's funny. There are a few things that's very interesting about the origin of homeopathy. It's the whole how the body works and the whole holistic point of view. But the actual medicine is just placebo in a glass. That's it. Water has memory, and then you believe it, and then you get homeopathic placebo in a glass. That's what homeopathy is.
Well, I mean, fantastic. But as a segue from what is essentially a scam, let's talk about scams.
Speaking
scams?
of things that get diluted to the point where it has zero value and functionality, that's exactly where we're going now.
Can I just have a Clark bar? Can I eat a Clark bar?
Oh,
can I just
yeah. Crack open those Clark bars. Why not? They are, from what I recall from the series, they are Jack Reacher approved.
Oh, can I just comment to the chat? That's because willow tree is pretty much the exact same ingredient that you get in your painkillers today. That's why it was used as painkillers.
That's the natural product being found to actually work, and so we figured out why that natural product works, and then
some chemists I want to say it's Bayer actually just figured out how to make the exact same active ingredient into a chemical synthesis. I'm pretty sure that what you find in willow tree bark and in a lot of other, those things that have the silvery, dusty leaves, they all have acetylsalicylic acid in it, and that's why it's painkiller.
That's because you can't patent trees.
No, but you can patent the synthesis. That's pretty much what you can patent.
I mean, can you patent something that you don't understand in any way, shape, or form? Like, because I don't think, I think we might understand sort of like the fundamentals of how trees work, but I don't think anybody could actually make a tree, recreate a tree without actually growing a tree from a seed.
Well, the point is you can patent any process without knowing anything about how the actual product works.
I gotta step away for a minute. I'll be back.
Okay. Because the reason why I said what I said, Caleb, is because to some degree photosynthesis does require the use of quantum mechanics.
Well, and the whole thing about patenting nature, that's a little bit trickier. And of course, the whole argument for when you're renewing patents and you're tiptoeing into something that we've discussed a lot in the whole sense of universal healthcare and American prices of insulin. The fact that everyone that walks this planet produces insulin themselves, except for the ones that don't anymore. So, but it's the process that you basically patent, right? How you actually extract that or synthesize it.
Yeah.
And the tricky thing is that it's really difficult to product innovate on something that is fundamentally a part of human biology, right? So this is why you get all these weird types of insulin and things with added proteins, and then the added proteins is actually what you're patenting, and yeah.
At some point, at one point, it just ends up becoming like, you know, like how marketing campaigns campaign and try and sell, like, you know, different types of razors to men, right? At some point it becomes less about the actual science and more just about buzzwords, right?
Well, and it's funny you mentioned razors, because it started out being just one blade, and then it was two blade, and then it was three blades, and now you get four blades, and then you get four blades with ointment and all that silly product development. But really, it started with Ford Motor Companies and the fact that they saturated the car market. And then, if I'm not completely off, I think it was actually Cadillacs that introduced color ranges to cars. So there was an incentive to actually shift your car to the current fashion of colors in the consumers. This shit is really interesting when you start reading up on the history of modern overconsumption and the whole.
So what you're saying is I can blame Cadillac for like the Fiat 500 and all of the fucking weird ass fashion style fucking adverts that they have.
They were the first to do it on that scale. Of course, you can say that. Well, the first one, the first type of business to really do this was, of course, fashion. But it's the same process that you're basically adding to the rest of the types of product. And this all came in with Bernays and modern hyperconsumption, because I think we've talked about this before. Every economist back before the war were actually expecting abundance economy to be reality around the 50s, because of the development that you saw, that how, again, back to the saturation thing, and I know that you're a little bit on that with the whole planned obsolescence and Apple products and all that stuff, right? So what happened was that everyone suddenly had a car, but they were all pretty much the same variation on a theme that was pretty much, I think I want to say Mercedes-Benz and Ford Motor Company pretty much ruled the type of car that people were driving. And to increase sales and actually keep the factories open, well, you had to start putting in things like planned obsolescence and product degradation or obsolescence, right? Where you can't be seen driving a black car because cars need to be blue now. And all that stuff. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, and if it's not sort of like peer pressured obsolescence, it's like, you know, actually designed in, you know, degradation, right?
Yeah, and this is what you see,
which is why you always get like with some of the products that you sometimes buy, and it's like, it literally broke like, you know, a month or a few days or like 2 months in, like, out of warranty. It's like, yeah, they kind of design it to do that.
Yeah, and the extreme cases, of course, I would say still started in something like fashion, right? This is where we get the term now called fast fashion, where it's basically just a cycle thing where they pump up the profitability and the longevity of the product is pretty much near zero, right? It's basically just you're supposed to buy it, wear it 2 or 3 times, and then throw it out, which is completely counter to what I call the Americans' introduction of of textiles when they brought in denim, which is literally indestructible.
Well, yeah, but now they're now they're designing like denims that are, not hard wearing but look like denim. So it's like,
True.
it's not hard wearing but it looks like denim. So, and it doesn't cost as much as denim. So it's like, I can people are like, I can have the look of denim but without actually being denim, sort of thing. So,
well, because destroying denim clothing originally was literally impossible. But that's also because of where it came from, right? Because
that's why
if I'm not entirely off, I think the original was actually a textile made for sails. That was basically just repurposed. So
okay, I didn't realize that.
The strength of it came from the fact that they were supposed to go on ships, right?
That would make sense.
I don't think you fully appreciate the what is it, the American sales engine for jeans and denim, right? So since you couldn't destroy it, we destroyed it for you and then sold it to you with the rips and the fading and everything.
That's of course later. But the whole idea of repurposing this
is really good
industry into really hard wearing, long lasting workers' clothing, it was just piece of genius. And the whole marketing, early marketing history, all comes out of the US. It did not exist anywhere else before that. The whole way of creating catalogs and adverts and stuff like that, the rest of the world was so behind when you're looking at something like that.
I mean, I would say that the Italians probably would have something to say about that to some degree, at least.
Not if you're thinking modern marketing,
I guess
with pages maybe. And with catalogs and with big printed prices and the whole $9.99 and all that shenanigans. All of that stuff came out of America, and it was
like tapping into like a more of a mass market than rather than like a sort of like a market where you're trying to actually sort of incentivize people to buy based on sort of to make them feel like they are higher class than they actually are, or sort of like they feel more important than they actually are because they're wearing something like super high fashion, right? It was like literally the opposite direction, right?
I want to argue that to really get the feel of that early super modern-esque marketing, go and play some Red Dead Redemption 2. It's great. With the catalog and everything and all the different types of weapons and customizing your weapons and all that. It's glorious. It's the true American lifestyle.
It is. It's almost fashionable, to get into certain areas of,
Caleb, if you're not watching chat, Fluffahamster
modern technology these days.
Well,
do you actually, Caleb? I'd actually like to ask you this. Do you think that Hilmar is a fashionista, or is he a techno fashionista?
Just to go back to the Red Dead Redemption thing, those guys with their wagons that's filled with aforementioned medication stuff, right? That's Hilmar. He's standing there on his wagon selling his snake oil, and the mortality rate of that poison is going to decide when he's going to have to leave town and go to the next town over.
My question is,
he's going to be forced out
the whole Oregon Trail, and there's going to be like piles of bodies behind him in his wake.
I mean, by bodies, we metaphorically mean bodies, but what we mean is just fucking just zeroed out bank accounts.
Yep.
And to be fair, what we want to sort of prevent is that exact thing from happening, which is people out there who got sucked in and ended up with zeroed bank accounts. That's
the thing is, we've talked about all this on this show so many times, right? We talked about all the criticism of the modern gaming industry. We've talked about Star Citizen. We've talked about all the pump and dump. We've talked about NFTs. We've pretty much talked about crypto on and off in past episodes. So all of these things are already known in the entirety of the gaming community. And of course, it splits in people that actually understand how these things work, and then the useful idiots, right? Sorry, but that's just a fact. If you invest with someone like Bernie Madoff and you lose your money, that's on you, right? It's like, well, why do you guys
How about
keep
baby
doing
Bernie?
this?
How about
And
Bernie
the same thing,
Jr.?
and pre-ordering games that you have no idea whether they work or not. Go and check out the history of Cyberpunk, right? It's like all these things are known, and because we are basically all RPG gamers and especially MMOs, right? The number of MMOs that come in and are basically, maybe they're not intended to be pump and dumps, but that's the effect, right? You get the hype train, you ride it out, and then it fucking falls flat on its head because something is missing, it's too bugged, it's completely unbalanced, it's unplayable after X amount of months. And we've had these discussions so many times. Every time there's a new one of these coming out, and even I am guilty of this, I decide to jump on the train and actually try it out, and then I get disappointed, and then I fucking leave, right? And this is going to be one of those. It's just going to be with all the elements in one. Welcome to the big package where you get all the stuff. You get the hype train, you get the unplayable game, you get the bugs, you get the cryptos, you get the loot boxes, you get the endless grind. All of these things is what's potentially what CCP is trying to come out with now. I think it's going to be glorious. It's either going to be a very boring fizzle, or it's going to be the most entertaining train wreck ever.
It's
I mean,
gonna
you
be
say it's the entertaining
most...
train wreck, but it's because you've got yourself out of the whole scenario situation, the whole kind of thing. So it's like you're very much on the outside looking in, going, "Oh, this is going to be fun. Where's my popcorn?" Right?
Well, because you and I, right? You and I, Mac, we've played the last 3 or 4 big potential hype MMOs, right? You're still playing one of them, right? And
tangentially,
this is,
yeah, a little bit.
And this is just how we are as gamers. We're a special segment of the gaming community, but we always fall for this shit. We fall for things like Star Citizen because we buy into the dream. We're all kind of waiting for the replacement to World of Warcraft and EVE Online.
Honestly,
and every
dude,
single
like...
time they sell us with this shit. It's pretty much like movie
it's
trailers,
so strange.
right? It's like, oh, this looks like the greatest movie ever, and then you go and watch it, and it's like, oh my god, this is such shit. It's like
or even if it is, it's like, well, that's quenched my thirst for that for like for 2 hours, right? Exactly. On to the next one, right? That sort of thing. And I've seen this like talked about like many times, especially when it always seems to come up with, especially with people who play MMORPGs, is a case of like, well, what's the next MMORPG? What's the next? And they always refer to it as like, what's the next WoW killer, or is this going to be a WoW killer or not, and that kind of thing. It's like, it's weird how. But for some reason, people can only talk about one MMO at a time.
Well, it's because we're nerds, right? We're really much in the bracket of connoisseurs. We really love our nerddom, and anything remotely satiating, anything that's got the nerddom about it, whether it's Star Wars or Star Trek or Marvel or DC or any of that stuff, all of our core nerddom interests. We will buy that. We will eat that, even if it's shit, even if it's utter and complete shit. And they are really feeding us shit these days. I know that we can discuss how good or bad the most recent iterations of all of these brands are, but it's just getting more and more diluted, right? I'm partially entertained by the last She-Hulk, but fundamentally it was shit. I'm partially entertained by watching The Mandalorian, but fundamentally it's shit, right? It's just, we keep being fed bullshit, and it's the same in the gaming segment, right? You get these games and they're not quite there. It's like lame. It's not long lasting. It's back to the planned obsolescence. This is all pump and dump bullshit. They just want our money and then fuck us.
I think to some degree, yes. I think to some degree, no, because I think everybody has their own individual idea of what like the perfect MMO is. But like everybody's idea of what their perfect MMO is slightly different. So, you know, when an MMO, you know, is created and it doesn't meet the expectation of everybody, which, to be completely honest, I think is actually an impossible task to do.
Well, this is
People go, well, what's the next one, right? And then they throw all of their hopes and dreams and expectations on this next one before the developers even like put out like, you know, what they hope to achieve in this MMO. And then, you know, when it starts to not meet expectations, they start to like, you know, shit on it and all that kind of stuff, right? Like,
well, I call it the skimmed milk problem, right? It's if you're trying to please everyone, right, you're going to end up with skimmed milk. Like people that want full fat milk, they don't want skimmed milk. People that want to drink water, they don't want skimmed milk. So you have a product that's pretty much not catering to any of your clients.
What about
And
2%
milk?
What about 2% and 1% milk?
but
I mean,
the developers always
There are
want
people
to
too.
sort of cater it to the most amount of people, though. That's the other thing.
Yeah, they
Because
try
that's
to,
where
right?
that's where they feel like they can get the most, you know, revenue out from it, right?
And then it's the weird phenomenon of, you know, when they do polling and ask people their opinion about a product, it's only the fucking Karens of the world that actually bothers to give you their 2 cents. Everyone else just goes, fuck off, I'm not going to answer your question here.
So
You're ending up getting all the wrong type of input in your customer surveys. Like, and then you end up making a product that no one wants.
So I have to ask you a very direct question here, then, Caleb. Do you think that an early access MMO game is a better way of, you know, generating revenue back for a development than, say, promising a great crypto game and then dumping once you've got a whole bunch of money from, you know, people?
We covered this before we came on, right? The whole thing that there is a problem in the gaming cycle, right? The current gaming business models are all like tapped out. They've peaked out. They are completely failing, and they're chasing the same money. This is something that I know is up Erik's alley, right? The whole thing of when you get this type of saturated market where everyone starts trying to make the same kind of movie or the same kind of clothing or the same type of car, whatever it is, it's about to collapse, because then that's where you usually end up getting this huge crash, and then you get the new innovators coming out. This is a very known cycle in all of modern market history. So the gaming industry is in crisis, and this is actually expected. I just think the irony would be if this actually succeeds.
I mean, I don't think it will. And to be completely honest, we should probably like introduce the reason, the topic, and the what we're actually talking about. You know, because I think there might be people out there that don't quite understand quite what we're talking about. I don't know how you would miss it if you're actually, you know, sort of like connected and playing Eve and you know, at least casually like checking the subreddit in some way, shape, or form. But like what we're talking about, what we're sort of you know, sort of like, you know, like tiptoeing around in terms of the topic, is that Hilmar announced that CCP are working on a new venture, on a new product that is going to be within they say within the Eve Online universe, but basically what they mean is like just basically borrowing the Eve IP, and they're essentially going to be making a new game, right? I don't think they actually said MMO or MMORPG.
I don't
They're
think they've
making a
said
new
anything
game.
about what the game is. They've just said
Yeah,
they are producing a game, and it's going to
yeah,
have a crypto hat on it.
yeah. So let me grab
So if any
the
of you people
blurb.
had issues with NFTs and with crypto in general, or with loot boxes, or with early access, or with beta trial, or limited trial, or all of that shenanigans, brace yourself. Here comes the big one. This is going to be fun.
Oh God,
Hold on
yeah.
it. But you said the word of the day: shenanigans. There
Yeah.
you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Great
There we go.
Americanist world. Right?
So let me find the tweet specifically from Hilmar, right? Right. So this is what Hilmar said verbatim on Twitter, right? He said, "Excited to announce that we're working on a new AAA title set in the EVE universe." Right? Set in the EVE universe. Possibly not actually in EVE Online, right? This is the key. This is the phrase that, like, you know, got people kind of suddenly very worried. Utilizing blockchain technology.
Yeah, that's the drama, and this is also going to be the hype train, right? That drives it, because putting it under the EVE Online IP, that's basically just the universe, right? All the games, maybe with the exception of Spark, everything that's come out from CCP Games, well, and Headerspill, right? The one that bankrolled all of this. Those two games are the only things that CCP has ever made that are not under the EVE Online IP. Everything has been set in this universe. So it is going to be an EVE universe. It's going to be the space stuff, but, and again, I could be wrong, but I think, and I said this in our chat earlier, I think that the first-person shooter thing that they've been developing in London has been one of those things where they were about to maybe shelve it and write it off as not viable. And I think they're going to reuse that to actually create this new thing. They are going to put that crypto hat on that failed project and then keep rolling it, right? So they're rolling over the assets that is the concept of an FPS, which CCP has tried, 4 times? And now they're going to do it with all the things that you guys know from other games. They're going to do it with all the vanity stuff, with all the grind, with all the Diablo-esque face rolling, where you just have to get to the next level, the next tier, the next level, the next tier, the next blingy thing that drops, and all of that stuff. This is what you're most likely going to get. You're going to get, like, Borderlands marries Diablo, and you're going to get endless grind and endless gameplay with all the stuff that we know. Seasons, resets, all of that shenanigans. And then, of course, with the crypto hat, you're going to be able to trade this currency that can then be used to buy things and skip the grind. That's literally what you're going to get. I would be amazed if this is not exactly what you're going to get, because this is what I would make if I was CCP. And the risky thing, because the other things we know are successful. We have already seen in the gaming segment that this has always succeeded, right? So you make the hype train, you make it MMO, you make it potentially cross-platform, and all the things and all the hype buzzwords that the gamers love to hear. And then you deliver them something like a Borderlands shooter with all the stuff and grind from Diablo. And then you just add the economy. And they're going to be making money hands over fist. But it's risky because you've got crypto on it. That means that the ways of diluting and almost homeopathic ways of controlling the in-game economy is just going to crash the whole show.
Yeah, because there is no feasible way of being able to sort of put together a crypto kind of start, like a game that is based in and has like aspects of, you know, the crypto kind of cultural and the crypto sort of ecology, where it doesn't crash and burn, because it essentially at the, you know, the very sort of like, you know, the very edges of, like, you know, where that game would eventually end up becoming, or whether that game would eventually go in terms of like a market economy and, you know, that sort of like that ecosystem. It requires constant input. It requires constant sort of like people putting money in, right? To the point where, like, if people don't put money in, it crashes and burns.
And this is where I saw chat said that cheaters and bots will crash it. Well, if you look at other games, how many games have actually been crashed because of that? It's more the other way around. The more bots, the more cheaters you have, the more of a healthy fucking player base you have. They keep going back, even though they get killed by cheaters. So I don't see cheaters and bots failing this or destroying this. On the contrary, it could be carrying it.
It doesn't even need bots and cheaters to break it, like to crash it. Like it just requires not enough activity. Like,
well, and
literally requires not enough activity, and then everybody's shit just basically becomes worth fucking nothing. And then nobody wants to be part of it because, like, you know, what's the fucking point?
And this is where the pay-to-win crowd, the cheaters, the bots, and then the grinders, if you combine those, it won't fail. I'm sorry, but that's just not going to fail because that's what you see. The popularity of things that have infinite grind is not going away. On the contrary, people love it. They say they hate it, but then as soon as a game comes out that has it, they keep playing it.
So I do want to address the little kind of thing that's sort of popped up in chat in terms of, like, you know, that we're assuming that they will be going for, you know, some sort of monetary sort of positives, some sort of monetary sort of incentive out of this particular venture. But, like, I mean, maybe not. Like, and the thing is, like, if CCP or if Hilmar isn't, then that's a little bit sort of a little bit kind of awkward when it comes to him being a businessman, and, you know, it's a good business to actually make a profit kind of thing. But even if we shelve that to start off with, the one kind of group in this whole venture that does definitely want money out of this is Anderson Horowitz, which is the venture capitalist firm.
Well, and I think the important thing to talk about for a second is that...
So don't think they don't think that they don't want a return on investment, because they fucking definitely do.
Well, this is controversial as fuck, I think, but...
Oh, the whole fucking thing is like, it's entire controversy.
But building something like this, right? And anyone that's been around for more than 10 years in EVE Online will know that there's always been some shady shenanigans and RMTing and money laundering going on the underbelly. As someone like Noisy Gamer points out, the reason that CCP has never been really a problem is because the scale of it never really became something meaningful. So if you're thinking about using something like EVE as a money laundering platform, you can maybe churn out, I don't know, a few million per month in its entire economy, right? But
I mean,
if you scale this, but if you scale this up, right, then the potential for abuse is huge. And this is where then it has a real value also to the investors, because you can think that the world of financing and crime is not overlapping, but I'm sorry to tell you, it is. And this just becomes a little bit of a piece of gold, like something that a lot of people out there want, both people in investing, people that's trying to hide money, people that are trying to whitewash and launder money. It's just, I don't think people realize how much this has been a thing in the gaming segment economically over the past 10 years.
Well, the concern is that, like, the people who are pushing this, like, for the most part, aren't gamers. Like, there's companies that are pushing it who are gaming companies, but most of the time, the people inside of those gaming companies who are, you know, pushing for that particular direction aren't the developers, aren't the sort of like artists, aren't the sort of like, you know, the programmers in the company. They're the management staff. You know, they are the CEOs and the CFOs and the CTOs and stuff like that, right? That are pushing this kind of direction. And the reason why they're pushing that direction is because they socialize with people who have large amounts of money. You know, they socialize with people who are investment, are in investment firms and that kind of thing, because they're always kind of looking to see if they can find like more investment in their company, you know. And people who have larger investments, like especially this day and age, like, you know, are people who have, you know, made their money in, you know, a lot of different financing. Yeah, but like there's a big trend at the moment with people who are trying to, you know, put in and get return investment in crypto. And unfortunately, a lot of the return on investment is, you know, basically create basically incentivizing other people to make pump and dump schemes and then walking off with the money, and then leaving those companies to basically get it, but like to basically get in like legal trouble because of what they did.
And that's your holy trinity, right? It's extremely aggressive investment fund managers, or basically your venture capitalists, right? So
yeah, and I don't want to say that like Andrew Horowitz.
Well, they are.
Yeah,
they are.
I don't want to say that Anderson Horowitz has done this, but they have allegedly done this to multiple.
But there's a lot of overlap on the Venn diagrams when you talk about someone like people that are literally criminals that want to whitewash their money, venture capitalists, and basically modern crypto boys. These things just overlap into one big ecosystem, and I think it's very, very risky for a company that is trying to service a legit type of market customer to get involved with people like that. You can maybe argue that as a startup, it's okay, and then they get in, and then you pay them off, and you get them to fuck off when you want to run a legit business. But when you're a, what is it now, 30-year, 25-year-old company, you really shouldn't be dealing with that type of people. I think it's very, very risky.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you can. The thing is, you can definitely say and put the point that, like, not everybody's decision is based around, like, whether you make money on something or not. But like, if your job is literally as an investment partner, like your job is literally to make money on investments.
Well,
and at the moment, like, the sort of like the crypto kind of side of things, it is. I mean, let's call a spade at this point in time, right? Like, the crypto side of investments, when it comes to investment firms, is almost a legalized form of scams, a legal form of fraud.
Yeah, it is, and way back to I think we had this discussion back in the day when Dirk McGurk was still frequenting the shows, when we talked about the history of multi-level marketing and all of those early pump and dump schemes and things like the pink slip stocks and all of that. Go and watch your financial drama movies like Wall Street and Boiler Room and Margin Call and all of that.
Yeah.
These things are not new. It's just that they get new clothing, and crypto and NFT is pretty much the new world of scams, and people are buying into it because
people buy into it because it's
on the surface like it's legit, but if you start scratching, it's rotten to the core.
It looks legit, and the people who are looking for marks, they're looking for like the new grift, or the new sort of victims, like, are able to kind of say, like, look, I've made it, I have like shitloads of money, and you could too, right? And so they have that kind of spiel kind of down. But like, explain to me anybody, like any situation where somebody scams somebody else, right? Where the person who is doing the scamming isn't like, super confident about like what they're doing and super confident about their grift. Because they have to be, because they're trying to sell it to you, right?
And in this day and age, especially post, I want to say in the new millennia, right? It's like the real value of cash money is going to zero. It's hardly anything. So getting funding for something like this is fairly easy, right? It's tricky for people to maybe understand this, but some of us are a little bit older and actually remember when loans actually cost money and liquidity had value. Now it doesn't. 40 million, 100 million to the top of venture capitalists and well, go and watch what's it called? Made in America, the one with Tom Cruise as a drug dealer. How much cash is just coming out his cupboards and his wardrobe, and there's like cash everywhere. That's the reality of the financial market now. There's just so much liquidity that's got no home. It's got nowhere to go. And things like this is like gold for them because they're going to be able to make so much more return of investment than in so many other things. Because yes, it's high risk, but because it's got that scam element and the pump and dump element, they're very likely to come out with at least a decent return of investment because they're going to be getting out early.
Well, yeah, it is very much the case, and the funny thing about that, and the funny thing about who is actually coming out with all the money versus the people who end up basically being the suckers who end up losing all the money, is that if you think that the people who are making the money in sort of like the crypto world is like sort of like new people, people who aren't who weren't a part of say the subprime mortgage kind of fiascos and stuff like that, it's the same people.
Well, the difference is, it's the same scam. It's just different scales. It's big boys.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. Yeah, it's different scales, and it's targeted more in terms of individuals and that kind of thing. But the same people, who presided over subprime mortgages and stuff like that, are the same people who are really, really pumping up crypto and pumping up the whole sort of Web 3.0 and that kind of stuff.
I'm just going to warn you, the big boys got bailed out. You and your crypto is never going to be bailed out.
They don't need to be bailed out, dude. They're not the people who are making the losses.
No, but
they're the ones walking away with cold hard cash.
Yeah, but you were talking about things like the subprime. All of that stuff, all that wealth got bailed out by the governments. They got their money back, even though they completely over leveraged and all the risk was in the face of the normal citizen.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen with crypto. It's just going to vaporize.
Yeah, but what they found out is that they don't need to have this sort of fail safe in the back of their pocket, from the governments. They don't actually even need that kind of thing because they're walking away with cold hard cash, while they're the people who are actually basically the suckers in this situation were basically just sold a promise that never delivered. Right? That's essentially it.
The thing is that no one needs to care about crypto. As far as I know, there's not really been any.
It's just a speculation. It's just something that you can speculate on. You can, if you want to take it down to brass tacks, you can see crypto as basically just another way of of speculating on some form of stock.
Well, if you really want to understand the problems with crypto, you need to read up about the history of actual banking. Back again to the Red Dead Redemption, back in the Old West, when all the local banks could print their own currency. This was legal. Mm-hmm. So the value of, say, $1 in Texas and $1 in Ohio might actually not have been the same. And there was no laws that said you have to use this as legal tender. Those laws didn't exist back then. Everyone could make their own money. And it's the same with this. There's a reason we got banking laws and that we moved everything to the Fed and to Royal Mint and all of that stuff. This has then been rolled back over the past, I want to say, 20 years, where now it's the commercial banks that are basically producing 98% of all actual money in the system. So you have to start looking at this. If you want to get in on this, you need to read up on your history. Otherwise, you are the fucking sucker and you're going to be holding your DICK.
That is a
terrible
a word that is permissible on Twitch.
Didn't say any word. I was spelling.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, this is not only the word shenanigans. Here, we should do an electric company.
Shenanigans Electric. Yes. That would be the greatest company name.
No, Shenanigans, the electric company, which was a kids show on PBS here in the U.S., and they would always say words like gans, right? And they'd sew it faster and faster and faster so they get shenanigans. They teach kids how to spell and speak and sound out words and all that stuff. You just have two heads. One would go the other one would go nan, and the word would appear between gans, and they'd say it faster and faster. It's Shenanigans.
I think we should stop Eric before he gets on the fucking Crank Yankers track or something like that.
Crank Yankers was hilarious. Okay,
It was glorious.
Hilarious. Okay, but no. This is like a legitimate kid show. But you keep saying shenanigans, right? And now you're saying shenanigans with a wanker, and where's this show gonna go? I mean,
where do you want it to go?
Let's put it this way. I just want to know how fast are they going to burn through the 40 million? All right.
Well, I think
we need a chart. We need guesses. We need people to put some money in here. We need some people to put some crypto in against when they think they're going to create this stupid crypto game or go through the 40 million first.
I'd rather people use monopoly money. Days. It's more likely to hold a value.
Monopoly money. Everybody. We're gonna issue push to talk bucks.
Well,
I honestly believe that monopoly money will actually hold more value than whatever fucking coin or whatever token that CCP makes for this particular game.
I think you're underestimating CCP, both of you. I think what's going to happen is you're gonna see the 40 million is going to be the first seed money. That's going to be bringing in another 40 to 60, and there's going to be a chunk of that coming from PA. Then you're going to end up with the equivalent of 100 million liquid that's basically going to run this entire project. Then they're going to take that half-baked cake that they have in London. They're going to polish that turd to a point where it's, well...
I'll tell you right
I have a question. I have a very important question for you.
PA's not going to put a fucking cent into this.
Yeah,
but they are. They're going to put something like 10, 15 million, and then they're going to relinquish the ownership of the project in London. So they are basically bringing that, and they're most likely going to be compensated, I don't know, maybe something like 5 or 10 million for that.
I will be shocked to see that PA spends or diverts any kind of money to this particular venture on their quarterly earnings report. Like, honestly, Caleb, like I'd love for you to show me it when it does pop up. Kind of
you're
thing.
Underestimating.
I highly doubt it in any way, shape, or form.
If you take your brain back to all the other projects the CCP has made, right?
Yeah,
it's going to have some of the same ways of operating. And I will tell you, the next 2 years is going to be them ramping up this thing, creating that hype thing, both for the investors and to sell it, the whole concept to PA. Then you're going to see more and more small things, teasers, demos, and all that stuff. And within 2 years, you're going to have the equivalent of 100 to 150 million that's been pumped into this. And you're going to have a not releasable product, but you're going to have a cyberpunk Star Citizen-like hype train, which is just enough to get this thing rolling. And that is going to double or triple the value of that money that's been put in. And then the early investors are going to fuck off. And then as the thing peaks and then crashes, then it's going to be PA and CCP basically just sitting there and minimizing their losses by pushing them onto the actual people that invested in it in the form of crypto. This is going to be the business model, and they're going to be robbing us blind.
The thing is, like, in order to buy into this, you're going to have to buy into crypto in some way, shape, or form. But that crypto is going to be like transferred over to the wallet and transferred over to whichever token that CCP has created for this particular venture, right? Like, that is where the sort of liquidity is going to come to actually, for the internals of whatever this game is. Like the sort of like internal sort of like economy is going to sort of help kind of move. But the thing is, that is not investors' money. That is not as PA's money. That is not CCP's money. That is all of that capital is going to be coming from people who have supported, who have bought in and supported this product. Like, and that has nothing to do with CCP. That has, that money is players' money. That is like money from, say, you or me, if we bought into it. Anybody like in chat, if they buy into it, right? And so eventually, at some point, when the investors have figured out, like, that they have got the return and the capital, they're literally going to exit stage left. Some aspect of this is going to basically crash, and that coin that CCP has minted, that token that CCP has minted, will literally start to drop in value entirely. People will be left with nothing. Be left with nothing.
Just to answer Mepper, right? So it says I'm always a doomsayer. I'm really not a doomsayer in this. I think this is more of the. I think this is going to fucking succeed. I think this is going to be like a Cyberpunk or a New World or any of these hype trains. I think this will most likely succeed because you guys can say what you want. But if I look at every game that CCP has ever made, it proves that they can actually make games. So this is really a question of, can they now finally get actually selling the hype train around this product?
The only game CCP has ever made is EVE Online. They've never completed any other project.
They have,
they have, but they've only there's only a couple of projects that they've made that have actually,
Danger game. That doesn't count.
I've actually made back the sort of the amount of money that they've invested in it and made a bit of a profit.
You're conflating business and finished games. Gunjack is a finished game. Spark is a finished game. Valkyrie is a fairly almost finished game.
Okay.
Dust 514 is a finished game. Stop saying that they can't make finished games. They've pretty much delivered something that is playable.
But everything they delivered sucked.
That doesn't matter. Again, I just said Star Citizen and fucking Cyberpunk. Those two games are literally not games or unplayable. Cyberpunk you can play that now, but when it launched, it was completely unplayable. So CCP has actually delivered above the actual business. The thing that you see coming out from other developers are underdeveloped, not finished, still in beta, and all of that shit. So if you think that CCP cannot deliver a playable sucky product that's been riding a hype train,
I'm gonna give you $1 million, and your only option is to either keep it or invest it in CCP's future thoughts. What are you gonna do, Caleb? What's gonna make you more money?
But that's
I'm just saying. No, it's not.
The funny thing is that
what are you willing to put in? I'm gonna tell you, I invest $0 will ever go to CCP or anything like them or any company that supports them because it's a money loser. It's a black fucking hole.
You really, honestly, I would love for that to be the case, Eric. But like, you fundamentally have to remember that there are really dumb people out there.
I know that there are dumb people out there. I cannot believe he's getting $40 million to develop this black hole.
He's only getting 40 million because Anderson Horowitz knows that they are going to get like money out of that, like beyond 40 million.
Let's put it this way.
They know it. They absolutely know it.
They've done it
before countless times.
They failed. They will fail eventually, and they
will fail eventually. But the people who will run.
I'm telling you right now, it's all on video. We're here on March 25th, 2023. Right?
Okay,
this is going to be a fucking black hole.
Yeah, but
it will go nowhere. It doesn't matter. In the gaming industry.
You missed my point, Eric. You missed my point. I said Star Citizen and I said Cyberpunk. And if you go back to before in the early stages, everyone would say, this is going to be huge. This is going to be great. It's to the moon and diamond hands and all of that bullshit. That was the premise of those two things. And if I had put $1 million in Robert's company or in what is it called, the ones that make Cyberpunk and also makes The Witcher,
CD Projekt Red.
Yes, CD Projekt Red. Those money completely fucking lost value. They crashed. They would have crashed like a rock. And I'm saying it's going to be the same with this project.
Absolutely.
I think it's so. It's not that I would put money in it because, of course, I don't. Because I don't believe that it's going to be worth anything after it peaks and crashes. So I won't risk that. But I'm saying it's going to ride a hype train. It's going to get the investors their money back and some. And
Okay,
it's going to be a success in quotation marks.
Okay, so if it's going to be a success from an investor perspective, they're going to get their money back or more. Why wouldn't you put $1 million in?
Because I don't want to risk it when it comes to timing, because you have to get out at the exact moment before it actually hits the fucking wall. I never invest like that.
Your money out is predefined on your money in these type of things. So yeah, I mean,
well, I think
5%.
5%.
By the way, MEPA 5% fucking sucks if that's all you're making on investment money. So that's an Eve thing. Oh, hey, we just had a power jump. So,
well, I've told you this before. I only, on principle, like investing in things that I call it boring investments. Things like breweries or pharma or anything that I know tomorrow and next year there's going to be a higher demand. So there's infinite fucking potential growth in this. It's never going to die. Even if the entire market fell out tomorrow and say lost like, I don't know, more than 90% of its value, that doesn't change the fact that someone that makes beer will still exist after a big crash. So if I own a brewery, sure, that's still going to have value, but your bonds might be written off and worthless.
Well, why do you think SV Bank crashed? Because they're heavily invested in bonds that lost value when the interest rate went up. Okay, I mean it's just all about the balance sheet. The key thing here is, okay, as described, this game looks like a pile of steaming shit, both from an investment and from a player perspective. I don't see anything redeeming about it.
Well, but
again, the great thing is, here we are, and we'll find out. Time will tell.
Well, the reason you're wrong is because this is going to be presented.
By the way, you can't say I'm wrong. All you can say is, in your opinion, you believe that something else will happen.
No, because
we will find out what actually happens with it in the next few years.
Okay, I'm saying you're wrong because you might know initially that taking blood in one drop can't give you that type of information back with any machine that exists and any physical option. This is just not going to be a viable business. But that does not change the fact that that fucking project sold that turd and that lie to the scale of what, 5 billion. So you might be right, and you are, but that does not mean that CCP can't pump and dump and sell this hype train to all the fucking idiots out there, because they will do this, and it's gonna happen.
You can say that is your theory today.
I'm sure they're going to try. I'm sure that they're going to try. Yeah, but whether they succeed or whether they fail is, that depends on how informed the community is, right? And how many potential marks and potential idiots can be well informed about crypto before they get basically pulled in and rug pulled.
This is going nowhere.
That is the thing. That is the thing that, like, I feel is it's an important thing for us as, like, as content creators and talking heads on a podcast, on an e-podcast should be doing. It is basically informing people correctly about, like, what the fuck's going on.
But how long have we been screaming, don't pre-order, don't get in on this, don't buy games with loot boxes?
Why do you? I mean, yeah, that's
people
true.
Are idiots.
But, like,
they don't care.
Yeah, people are idiots, but they should be free to be idiots if they want to be.
Absolutely.
If they're willing to listen to sense, then fair enough. Like, just so long as we're putting out some kind of common sense, some kind of logic, to counteract the fucking bullshit that's coming from Hilmar's mouth, then fantastic.
Here's the thing about loot boxes and beta games and all that stuff, right? It's entertainment. Everybody has set number of entertainment dollars. And if spending those dollars brings them entertainment, even for a short period of time, it may not be a 10-year-long game that they play. That's good, right? I just, I'm looking at this as some new cool thing in the genre. It ain't going to be that. It's going to be a sucking black hole of everything, and it's not going to be.
Sure.
It's just
But
not going to even
it
get
doesn't
off the
matter
ground.
because if and this is
It
where
does matter.
Hilmer is actually correct when he said that the current player base of the EVE Online game has all the segments that is needed to create something like this. And if you are honest and you start looking at the people in EVE, this is where there's fuck tons of crypto bros. This is where all the people that pre-order games. This is where all the people that try to bot in games exist. It is the perfect segment. It's the perfect potential customer base.
EVE Online is a niche game with a small population compared to games in the rest of the world.
Okay? Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It has the initial clientele that is needed to get something like this off the ground.
I'm going to tell
depending
you,
on how much, honestly, dude, depending on how much the buy-in is, like, you know, to get into this game, they could still make a fuckload of money, even if it's even if it's sub 3 figures. Like,
less than 10% of the EVE populace will play this game.
I think you're underestimating the amount of people that might actually show an interest when there's a game that is potentially interesting and new comes out.
The funny thing is, people may potentially buy into it because they think they're like, oh, you know, I'm, you know, this has the potential where I could actually make money out of it. Like I could make like my investment back out of it. No, that's not the case. Like, you know, in pump and dump schemes,
you know, you're going to get rich going to Vegas too.
You don't make a press conference on the initial pump. Like, you know, that's already happened.
Hey,
you know. There's two parts to a pump and dump scheme. You either get like you either get private messaged about like it happening and get in on it like kind of early, or you kind of think that you're getting in on it early, but in actual fact you're the dump.
Exactly, and this is really.
And I'll tell you right now, you don't do an open-ended press release and like send out a tweet on Twitter if you're getting people in on the pump.
Well, I think
you're finding people to dump on. That's what's
I don't know if we can say this is a pump and dump. I mean, it's a little different than that. I mean, I think they're legitimately trying to.
It really genuinely is.
See, I don't think it's like that. I think they're legitimately trying to create a game where they're going to make money using, you know, NFT type stuff and things of that nature, which I think is going to go over like a fucking.
I don't know if you've experienced the sort of the aura around like Hilmar. I have. He doesn't like people who know things more than he does. He doesn't like people who, you know, can criticize, you know, with legitimate reasonings. The products that he makes.
Yeah, so
he literally surrounds himself with sycophants. You know, and it's just one of those things where it's kind of like in that situation, like, you know, do you think he has a real and genuine, and I mean this, like, do you think he has absolutely God's honest, genuine kind of respect for for anybody who plays EVE Online right now?
No, I don't have any imagine.
So why do you think he's going to make? So why do you think he's going to make a product for like a legitimate product for them?
Well,
like a legitimate new product. Why do you think he's going to make a legitimate new product for them?
Tell me how you think it's going to be illegitimate, right? Now, don't get me. There's a difference between a person who wants to produce a product for people to use.
So okay, I'll tell you how this is going to go. I'll tell you how this is going to go. He's going to make a side chain off of a popular crypto, right? That's going to basically, and he's going to create his own kind of like his own internal currency, which will be the currency for the game, right? But you can't just go in for free to this game and like make money in this game in any way, shape, or form. You have to go and you have to buy in some way, shape, or form. And in order to buy in, you're going to have to, unfortunately, you're going to have to buy in through like a cryptocurrency exchange, which will exchange like your real world money for crypto, and then that crypto will be exchanged immediately for that in-game credits, like the in-game monetary credits that, you know, CCP is made in this new game, right? Mm-hmm. That's what's going to happen. And there's going to be it's going to be touted as a way that, like, you know, if you get in early and this thing's going to explode, and the value of this coin is going to this coin, this internal currency is going to explode, etc., etc. So you have to kind of get in real early, and so people will get in and all that kind of stuff, and then, like, at some point, the investors who initially gave CCP all the money, who just so happen to be on the board of directors of these crypto exchanges, will just take their money and run.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just going to point out that if you compare,
and you'll be left with a valueless coin that isn't even a regular crypto coin. So you won't even have that ability to exchange it for. You won't be able to supplant that back in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but I mean, they've got to produce a product that people want to buy into.
Yeah, of course they do, because that's the cool kind of thing.
Don't get me wrong, right? I mean,
but they will produce the most minimum viable product for that.
Oh, and again, go and check out the story about the day before, right? The amount of hype that was gathered around that until someone actually figured out there's too many discrepancies, there's too many things that does not look kosher, and literally figured out this is actually a scam. This game does not really exist. It's all rolling demo shit. It's worse than Star Citizen. But the hype created was massive. And if CCP does something similar, but again, with at least something that is playable, so not a complete scam, and they already have a lot of the assets, they're going to be able to ride this fucking hype train. And what I'm saying is, the thing that makes or breaks this is going to be, can CCP actually run a hype train? Can they actually do the marketing and all of that stuff that we know they failed at so many times in the past? So if they fail, it's because they can't spin up that whole narrative and hype train, and that is a possibility. But when it comes to having something that is more presentable than the day before, something more playable than Star Citizen, and something more hype creating than the novelty of being able to exchange things, like go back to when they said that there was going to be a store so you could make money on playing Diablo. All of these things, if they play their cards right, this could get huge, and it could actually start the whole choo-choo thing to the moon. And you are right, it is going to be a complete failure because there's nothing really in it, and it's going to be a complete scandal. But don't think that they can't do it, because it is very much within their grasp to do something exactly like this.
I think the technical capability is there. I think in reality, this is just going to be something thrown out in the dumpster, man. I think it's going nowhere. I'm just telling you, my opinion. I don't think they can pull it off.
I think they're going to try and pull it off.
That doesn't mean some people aren't going to get maybe. I don't even think we have enough information about the game to say it's a scam or this or that yet. I mean, we have to see what they come out with. But let's just assume for a minute this is a wholesome, family-oriented game that everybody can play and nobody's going to get scammed. I don't think they can do it.
Well, the whole day before thing is still running. So let's see where that one ends, because I think people are just this stupid. I think your problem, Eric, is you surround yourself with too many people that are above average IQ. Remember, 50% of the entire global population has less than 100 IQ.
I'm just saying, right, from my perspective, this would not be an investment opportunity that I would come anywhere near. I don't think it wouldn't be a moneymaker if I was on a ground floor investor. Too much risk, because the parties involved, they don't produce quality, and I wouldn't make money with them. My investment is 10 to 16%.
I just want to mention,
I'm not getting an ROI like that. Forget it.
I just want to mention something, like, something in chat, which like, you really shouldn't milk a dead horse.
Well, I'm just going to point out, Eric, if
because it's not nice. Like,
you have been too smart to touch anything in the realm of NFTs. You've been too smart to touch anything in the realm of crypto ever. So You are too smart for this segment. You're not the core audience.
I'm so tempted to wonder whether Caleb is going to sort of come out at some point and be like, "What's wrong? Don't you like making money?"
I love making money. And by the way, when we were talking about Hilmar earlier, right? No, I don't think Hilmar gives a shit about anybody who is a customer to him. I think he's proven that time and time again with the words that come out of his mouth, right? He only cares about
the words that get written. Yeah. Or the words that get written by somebody else for him.
Yeah, but I think he's just looking at a product, whatever it is. Is it going to make him money? He doesn't really care about the consumers. He just cares that there are enough consumers to carry it, right? Yeah, no. Exactly. If he would meet any of us, he doesn't give a shit about any one of us at all. At all.
Well, the thing is that when it comes to EVE and CCP, you are literally Mark Hamill.
I don't even like Mark Hamill.
No, but you're pretty much the canary in the coal mine screaming, "This is shit. This is all shit. You're making shit, and no one should buy it." Well, they've been making money. I'm
gonna tell you. I don't know.
It's why they've been making money
this game or what, because I don't know anything about the game. Right. I know a few sentences. Right. I just I'm talking from a confidence level of the people who I would trust my money to. Right. I would not trust them with an initial investment. I just wouldn't. I don't think their yield is high enough, and I think the risk is too high in what they do. And when I read what they're supposed to do, I'm just like, who gave them venture cap there? But then again, SV Bank, guess what? Silicon Valley Bank, that was all venture capital shit. They loaned to venture capitalists.
And there was a lot of crypto in that as well.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, all their assets lost value, and it was just badly managed. People were out to lunch that should have been paying attention to shit. That was just bad management. And by the way, yes, I probably was at a seminar and we went over their balance sheet and everything in great detail, so it's not like me making shit up. So yeah. If they have a product and I want to play it, I'll pay them to play it, and that's fine. That's great. I think they did don't get me wrong, we said a lot of negative things, but I think with EVE Online in general, I think they could have done things better. But it's a game that you can do things in it you can't do anywhere else. It was like their golden egg. Okay? But they got to take care of the golden egg, which I don't think they're really doing, and they haven't been doing for years. Right?
Well, I think like, individual devs and a lot of the lower level staff and lower to mid level staff in CCP like definitely do like care for the game and definitely do want to sort of like keep it going and add to it and make it better kind of thing. But like upper management and like C level and stuff like that. Like no, I don't think they care.
Yeah, don't think that. I'm talking about the devs and GMs and things like that clearly care, right? So isolate yourself from all the cool people in art and all that stuff. Right.
Yeah. If we've said something so far when we've used the overall term CCP when we're talking negatively about about EVE Online, like that's just honestly what we mean there is just like higher
C-suite.
upper level sort of management and like C-suite stuff.
Yeah,
like
C-suite
we
stuff.
know that like regular devs, regular programmers, and art people and all that kind of stuff do genuinely care about EVE Online. So
money people, C-suite folks. I mean, it's a different story up there. And by the way, and it should be right. I mean, it is different, right? I mean, when you talk about people, even in any company, the people who are doing the work, trying to make it the best they can and all that stuff in the C-suite, there's still different points of view and they see things very differently, right? And that's they should to a point, right? I'm just saying that I would be far more interested in looking at how you make EVE Online better than this new game. Because I think 40 million into EVE probably could make EVE far more mainstream and garner you more money in the long run, right?
I mean, that's true, but like I don't think they would be able to find 40 million. Like they definitely wouldn't get 40 million for that from Anderson Horowitz, for example. But like maybe they could find it somewhere else. But like you would think that kind of money could potentially be rolling down, from
I don't even think you
from
need
Pearl
40
Abyss.
million, but yeah, I mean,
but from Pearl Abyss maybe, because like
no, Pearl Abyss, saw a cash stream coming from me with minimum investment. And they just said, I'm going to spend X and I'm going to get X over X many years. And again, it was a money play, and it has to be at that level when you're.
I mean, they
running a corporation.
CCP are making money. Like it's not like PA isn't getting profit from CCP for EVE Online. Like they definitely are.
Right.
Like it's making, it's like strangely enough, like, and we did mention Star Citizen earlier on, like in the conversation, but like it's funny that like, the sort of like the production, like the development as well as the financials of like Star Citizen and of like Robert Space Industries, like are actually surprisingly open for people to watch, for people to see, in terms of like how much investment they get in from people and like how much expenditure and stuff like that. Like honestly, EVE Online, with the small amount of the small amount of people like paying in monthly each time, like makes money hand over fist in comparison to Star Citizen. Like,
and by the way,
honestly, truthfully,
Pink Fat Rabbit doesn't care as long as there's no crypto NFT bullshit in EVE Online. That's a good point. Fair to make. And Faradar, right? Says they're trying to diversify. I mean, well, that's the point, right? Their parent company is the diversifier, right? They're trying to spawn off a new game and a new thing, and yes, they're trying to.
Unfortunately, it feels. You know what it feels like. It kind of feels like it kind of feels like Hilmar's being like a super bad parent, right? You're like one of those really terrible parents who, is really sort of like really not liking the one kid that he has, and like really wishes he had another kid.
Well, I think.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and Eve being that kid, right?
I can understand.
Do you know what I mean?
If you're looking at game trends and things in the market, and you think they're going a certain way, and this new game is where you think people want to be and pay you for, there's nothing wrong with going that direction. But I just think they have notoriously failed, and I don't really think that's the direction. I think NFTs are done. Okay, they're over. They're yesterday.
Well, they're not going to use the term NFTs, because NFTs have a stigma now attached to them, so they're going to use the term like tokens, or they're going to use the term like
I get it.
If
like anybody would like an NFT of my first tweet, it is for sale for $10 million.
I just need to rename it into Vanity Item Token, and everyone is going to be buying it.
Actually, Hilmar used the term smart contract. So if you want to know what a smart contract is literally just a small segment of code wrapped and basically published onto a blockchain, right?
Right.
The difference between a smart contract and an NFT is an NFT is a form of smart contract that has like some kind of item associated with it. That's all it means. That's all it is.
Let me just get to Pink Rabbit's comment, and I think it's important because I know that everyone says that all the other projects that CCP has ever made has failed. Yes, from a business and a monetary point of view, it's failed. But if you look at it from a product, what came out in each project that they made, they created playable, really decent and good games. They were not buggy. They actually delivered on what it was supposed to do. It was a playable game that people that played it liked. Whether you're talking about Gunjack or Spark or any of these things in the past, Dust 514
honestly,
massive following both before launch and after launch. These are not failed projects. They're just monetarily failed projects. If these guys could actually fucking do marketing and run a hype train, all of those projects would have made them money. But they didn't, because they fail at business. They fail at product development. They fail at marketing, and they fail at running a hype train. They do not understand how to expand their current player segment. This is the tragedy of EVE Online.
I got to call timeout because I said all that shit in the beginning and told me I was wrong. So which is it, motherfucker? All right.
Hey, Caleb twists and turns like a twisty-turny thing. It's all right. It's all fine. I would like to say, with to Caleb's credit, like in that regard, like I have played like the full fat version of Eve Valkyrie. Right. It was an amazing experience. The only issue is they came far too fucking early. They thought that, and to be fair, a bunch of companies thought exactly the same thing, and still seem to think the same thing. That like, VR is at the point where it can be mainstream. It is close to being mainstream. It is still very much the preserve of like the more wealthy middle to like upper middle class kind of in terms of in terms of what you need in order to run things and experience things and that kind of stuff, right? But it's not quite there, right? If you were around in even were going to sort of like player meets and stuff like that, like maybe you got the opportunity to try like Valkyrie, because that's where I kind of got to try Valkyrie. It's an awesome experience. It is a truly awesome experience. That kind of level of fidelity, that level of like immersiveness, it's just fantastic. But it's unfortunately it wasn't accessible by the masses.
But this is what takes me back to what Erik and I usually agree on, that the main failure of CCP is the fact that they never went professional. They don't know how to market shit, they don't know how to monetize, and their C-level is shit. This has been the problem all the way back in EVE history. They never managed to figure out what to do with their initial success, because they were still led by idiots, and idiots were messing up with decent, actually good marketing people that knew how to create a product and knew how to actually price stuff. So you basically had cock blocking every single step of the way. There's always been, you send someone like Hilmer to deal with Sony. Why do you do that? Sony's going to fuck you over. They're way more professional than you, right? So that's where you got the whole exclusivity of platform. And this is just every single time. When you talk about vanity items and the Plex, the Next store with all of that stuff with pants at $500, all of that was Hilmer and his failures. It's basically because they still have amateurs in positions where you need actual professionals. So CCP is really good at what an upstart, an initial company should do: create really good games. Because, as you say, if I look at every single game that they've ever created, as a playability thing and from an entertainment point of view, it's good games. Spark is a great VR concept. Valkyrie, a great VR concept. Dust 514, great first-person shooter concept. All of these things have been a game success, a technical success. Hell, even the Carbon engine was before its time. It would have been the big engine on level with Unreal and Unity today if it hadn't fucking failed, because the technological skills in CCP has always been really, really good. The problem is they can't do business.
All right, I'm going to do my one last thing in two parts, just because I'm going to go first this time.
We are definitely at that point. At that point in time.
So to answer the question that everybody is thinking, but nobody is typing out there in the chat, no. Caleb doesn't breathe, and he doesn't have to. He can just go. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I'm going to award best name in chat. Okay, it's going to go to Laszlo Holyfield. Okay, I know where you're going with that, and it's beautiful. Brings a tear to my eye, buddy. It's hilarious. Okay, so that's it. I'm done.
If you want to know how, it's the same technique that's used by people that do brass instruments, so trumpets and tubas and stuff. Circular breathing.
I thought you just said. I thought you just said gills or something.
I inhale and exhale on the same breath.
There you go.
He's a inward singer.
By the way, Holyfield, real genius, one of my favorite movies. So.
If you've ever seen like Tenacious D's, if you've ever heard Tenacious D's inward singing kind of track, like Caleb does that, but like talking. So like he both talks on the inhale and the exhale. That's how he can just keep on going.
Laszlo, I love toxic waste. I'm just gonna say that. Okay, I love toxic waste. McLeod, you got one last thing?
I'm scratching my brain.
I can't believe we're here already.
I've been on a sort of like, getting myself clued up on crypto for the last like 2 days or so.
Yeah.
Like from the last time that we had to go through this with whole fucking NFT things, I was like, we had the whole NFT thing, and that was a hilarious, dumpster fire of like a hilarious, like almost sort of, like fucking fanfare of multiple dumpster fires going across, that it was just hilarious to watch and to sort of read up on and all that kind of stuff. But like that kind of died down, and this has sort of come back up. So I've been kind of like, I've been refreshing myself on it for quite a while. Other than other than the sort of like the whole yeah, there you go. My one last thing is, if you are a content creator out there, and you do have a YouTube channel that you post videos on and stuff, and you do every so often get like a few emails about like about sort of sponsorship opportunities. If they send you anything, if somebody sends you anything via email in any way, shape, or form, like quadruple check like the file type. And if you are in any way slightly concerned, or in any way kind of thinking that something's not quite right, even if you can't tell whether even if you can't pin down what that, like, where that feeling is coming from, don't open it.
There you go.
Don't open it. Even if your antivirus says it's clean, don't open it.
I just have to do a small last thing. Be very careful about how much controversy you throw out there, because it could end up being the exact thing that feeds this whole machine. Because if you get really enraged and up in arms about all of this, that's just going to bring a whole lot more attention. The J.K. Rowling effect is real. Do not give them the fuel.
Don't become J.K. Rowling. Yeah. You don't want to be subject to the Streisand effect.
That was exactly how the Harry Potter legacy thing got so big.
I'm going to point out one other thing too. Okay, Shamrock Shakes used to be really good. Now they suck. I'm just saying. All right.
Oh, one last thing before we go, because I feel like Erik is at that point where he's about to wrap up. As such, unfortunately, there isn't going to be a meta show today. I believe Brisk is still on holiday. As such, I think this is the last week that he's on. Like, he's wrapping up like his holiday this week. So there will be a meta show next week, but like there won't be one this week, unfortunately. But what there might be every so often, and you're going to have to watch out for these, is like, breaking news kind of broadcasts from INN if there's going to be a big ass fight. There was a broadcast because there was a potential for a big ass fight like on Friday, or was it? Yeah, Friday. But unfortunately, that didn't turn out how we'd had hoped. But there's always time for another opportunity for that. So so watch out.
Alrighty. And with that, we're out of here. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. And we will see you next week. Later.
Bye.